The train lumbered along the tracks. The clickety-clack was soothing. It was nice to let our guard down for a bit. We all had a turn driving the train, including Sky, that cheered her up. We had passed Battle and Roberts Bridge and were on our way to St. Leonard's. We had not run into any trains on our side of the track, and progress was smooth apart from the odd undead on the line, which required me to get out ahead and drag off the line. I climbed back on board, cleaning the spike on the baton on a seat. I need to pee. Sky was dancing around trying to hold it. Okay, hold on a sec. I entered the driver's cabin. Go Anna, go and find the toilet, dude. He grunted. Okay, then let's find the toilet. We exited the carriage. I had cleared and moved on to the next one. 3 carriages down we found one. It was a sliding door one. I checked the rest of the carriage and found nothing. I hit the open button. A girl in her mid-20s came flying at me, teeth bared and bloody. I was caught off guard and she knocked me to the floor. I put my hands up to stop her getting at my throat, but I dropped the baton in the process and it slid away under a seat. Sky, get back in the carriage. She did, and the door slid shut behind me. I kicked the girl off me and she flew back and hit a pole. I got to my feet and tried to reach under the seat for my baton. The girl quickly recovered and came at me again. I wrapped my hand around the baton just as the train shuddered, sending it rolling out of reach. I got to my feet. Was the train speeding up? No time to think about that now. The girl slammed into me again, knocking me against the exit doors. I felt them start to slide open. That shouldn't happen unless the emergency release was. An alarm rang out. That would explain it. I dropped onto my back and tried to force the girl out the now open door. I had to hold my head up to stop it dangling out the doors. The girl dropped to her knees onto my chest and started to try and paw at my face. She bit my gloved hand as she was focused on that. I took the opportunity to punch her in the head a couple of times. This made her let go of my hand and focus on the other. I then grabbed her by the shirt and with all the strength I could muster hurled her out the open doors. She landed on the track and rolled before she was out of view. I got up and moved away from the door, picked up my baton and hit the driver contact system. John, why the hell are we going so fast? I don't know, it won't slow down no matter what I do. Fuck. I made my way back to the driver's cabin. The dead man's handle was locked in place. Me and John both tried to pull it back but couldn't do it. We tried the emergency brake, nothing. I looked down at the console. Something was flashing red. Hey, what does that mean? Oh, it means, oh fuck, we need to get off. John grabbed his bag and headed for the door. I followed. Why do we need to get off? John was already halfway down the carriage and had scooped up Sky. It means obstruction ahead. Oh, goody, and I thought today was going so well. We didn't have many options. The train was now going at full speed. If we jumped, the impact would kill us or we would be electrocuted on the rails. Soon the decision was made for us. A tremendous impact threw us off our feet. Sky screamed as the train started to twist as it came off the rails. Move! We ran down the carriages. As soon as we made it out of one carriage, the one behind us was ripped away. Eventually, we hit the end. We threw ourselves to the floor and held onto the handrails. It felt like we were in a tumble dryer. We turned over and over. I lost my grip on the pole, fell and hit the ceiling or the floor or whatever. The carriage turned over one last time and the world faded into darkness. "They okay?" Toby asked. "They're fine. They should be in Hastings in an hour and a half or so." Jack put down a mass of wires. He was glad to have people around him again, but he missed Sky her curiosity about everything he did. He personally didn't agree with Tom's decision to take her with them, but he didn't want to rock the boat. Jack snapped out of it, "Man, how are those cameras coming along?" "Well, I chopped up Tom's webcam, smashed a few video cameras we found in the flats so we can have a camera for each side of the building and one for the entrance way. If they come round, we will know about it." Toby nodded and walked off. He played with Duke and tried to take his mind off how quiet everything was, what he wouldn't give for some excitement. I woke up and was immediately disorientated. I looked up and saw the seats on the ceiling. What the hell happened? We were on a train and oh yeah, we crashed. John. Sky. What? I looked over and saw John pick himself up from under a few bags of luggage that passengers were never going to collect. "I'm okay." Sky had landed on John. We stood up. Our carriage had become separated from the others. Moonlight was coming through the sliding doors. "So, who wants to get out and push?" I asked. We checked ourselves over. Apart from bruises and cuts, we had fared pretty well. We exited the carriage and made our way to the embankment, and John checked our position on his iPhone. I hate those things. We were near a town called Battle, about 6 miles away from Hastings, at a place called Malthouse Wood. From the aerial view, we could see we were in a field and that there would be a few more to cross to get to Hastings. We decided to spend the night in electric generator shed. There was no roof and the floor was gravel, but as long as we didn't poke the generator with a stick or make too much noise to attract the undead, we should be fine. Sky had fallen asleep. I had draped my coat over her. It was a cold night. "Do you miss the times when we used to do nothing but play video games?" John pondered. "All we did in video games was kill zombies, so I guess this isn't too different." "No, continue option." "Yeah, there is that. You had a look at the route we're taking tomorrow?" "Yeah, I think we should stick to the fields away from the towns. It will take a bit longer but be a damn sight safer." "Sounds like a plan. Get some sleep." "I'll keep watch for a bit." "All right, night, dude." "Night." I kept watch the whole night. I didn't bother waking John. I wouldn't be able to sleep anyway. "What do you mean the train crashed?" Toby yelled down the phone. "Well, we were kind of on the rails, then we kind of came off the rails." "Are you okay?" "Where are you?" "Near Malthouse Woods, about 6 miles away from Hastings. It's not too far, so we're gonna head through the fields on foot." "No, head back home." Tob, what's the point? We're almost there now. If there are no survivors, we will jack a car and head back. I'll call you when we get there. Toby started to yell down the phone, so I hung up. We packed up, climbed out of the generator shed, and started to walk through the fields. There were only a few dead. We saw one chasing after a house that was easily out-trotting it. Then it left it alone and focused on us and was easily dispatched. Me and John took turns carrying Sky over the odd stream we both fell in at some point, getting covered in mud, and I lost a shoe somewhere. Then we hit a wall 12 feet high that stretched for miles. It was made of what building sites commonly used to stop nosy people looking into construction sites for stuff to steal, patched together with concrete, cars, barbed wire, skips, junk, and anything you could imagine. One of the panels had the Queen's Award for Enterprise logo on it and Better Homes for the Future written below it, or at least that's what it used to say before someone had written "fuck you" all over it. More promising was a sign that read "Survivors this way," an arrow pointing east. We followed the wall for about an hour. Stop, say where you are, do not move, do not flicking move. Before we knew what hit us, the wall stopped and what looked like a large metal sliding gate improvised from junk and various items of debris to cover its flanks, and in front of the gate a tank. Its barrel swiveling to aim at us. The owner of the booming voice walked in front of the tank with a SMG in his hands and flanked by 6 more men in military fatigues. I said, "Don't move." "Whoa, wait, we're not dead." "How many of you are there?" "3, me, my friend, and a little girl." "Are you armed?" I have a baton and my friend has a club thing." "Okay, walk towards us slowly." We moved towards them, which is very unnerving when you have 7 SMGs pointing at you. I moved to shake the man's hand. He was his late 30s, short brown hair starting to grey. It looked like he had not slept in a week. He politely declined to shake my hand. "Sorry, sir, can't do that till you get checked over for possible bites." "I understand, so what's going on here?" The soldier motioned for us to follow him. We did not go through the large main gate. Instead, he motioned for us to go through one of 4 doors 12 feet apart. We entered into a bare room with nothing more than a chair. The civilians here started to build a wall as soon as the outbreak hit. They were in pretty good shape when the rest of the country was overrun. The wall stretches for most of Hastings with the sea behind us. So, we get food and can send out raiding parties by boat when our good Lord Master politicians decided to show their faces again. They were on the first helicopter ride here to save their asses. I nodded, taking this in. "I'm afraid we are going to need you to remove your clothes so we can check for bites, sir." "Sure, no problem, but call me Tom." The soldiers were very professional and I took no offense to them doing their job. It was for everyone's safety. After all, a nurse came in and checked us over. She bandaged my arm and injected me with an antibiotic just in case any of the numerous cuts and bruises I had collected were infected. We were moved on to another room. This one was larger and had tables and chairs. The soldier at the gate offered us a seat and I offered him a smoke. He had not been able to get a fag for a week and joyfully lighted up, and we chatted casually. "Right, I'm gonna need to fill out some paperwork on you guys." I laughed. End of the world, but the government still loves its paperwork. He smiled at that. His name was Stan, and he asked me and John various questions: where we had come from, how we survived, etc. He then gave us 2 electronic passes completely white apart from the magnetic stripe. Apparently, we would use this to get our food rations from the stations located in the town. All public buildings had been converted into sleeping and living areas for people who had made it here. But as so few people had, they were practically empty. Money was still good for everything except food, which was now tightly rationed, and attempting to subvert it was a criminal offense. Then came the difficult discussion about Sky. "So, is she your daughter?" "No." I sighed. "Her father was killed and we rescued her. We don't know about her mother, but she said her grandparents lived here. We were going to try and reunite them." Stan nodded. "So, what do we do here, Stan?" "I'm quite happy to take her home to find her grandparents. She knows where they live." "What if they are not there?" I hadn't thought about that. I looked over at Sky, who was a couple of tables away coloring. She waved. I waved back. "If I can, I'd like her to stay with me. Could I do that?" It turns out that a lot of kids had lost their parents during the rising. The few public buildings that were full of kids whose parents had died to protect them. Stan did a background check on me and John. We both had no criminal record, and in light of the job we had done protecting her so far, awarded us provisional custody upon till the time a close family member was willing to look after her, a full-time foster family could be found, or until I applied for official adoption. Then that was it. We were waved through several large gates, given directions for food and a place to stay, and we were in Hastings. It didn't look like it had changed much. I breathed in the sea air. Even the midday sun was shining brightly. It was like all this had never happened.